without further ado. So Senator Huffines has been called by some maybe the most conservative senator ever served in the Texas Senate. So I am happy to introduce Senator Don Huffines.
Okay, I got this one. Thank you, Andy. That's good, that's good. Okay, that's good.
Okay, so I've got to mention. So we have a couple free books up here, and he's going to talk for about 20 minutes, so you're going to forget. But the first two people who have a question get a free book.
All right, you'll give him the microphone.
And I'll give you the microphone, but so forget it.
Where are the restrooms at?
Get everybody pumped up. All right, thank you, Andy. Appreciate that. Thank you. My microphone on yet? Thank you, Andy. I appreciate that. You know, Trump's got to walk up. I got to get a walk up. Yeah, he's got a good walk up. All right, guys. Hello, Patriots. Y'all having fun tonight? I hope so, because life's too short not to. Well, tonight I'm going to pull the curtain back a little bit of what happened in my experience in the Texas Senate. And I'm going to tell you how big the swamp is in Austin. I think you're going to be surprised about it. And I'm going to also let you know what you can do to hopefully change the situation in the swamp down there in Austin. First, I'll give you just a little bit of bio on me. I was born in Dallas, Texas. I'm a fourth-generation Texan. I'm in commercial real estate. I have five kiddos, 4 boys and a girl, and we homeschooled them. And throughout their school career, I got 4 Longhorns and one Horned Frog. And I have a beautiful, perfect wife of 33 years, married Catherine. And I'm also an identical twin. Somebody already asked me that, so I'm bringing it up because if I don't say hello, it might not be me. That's my twin brother, Philip. And yes, we are in the car business. That was my grandfather who started the car business, if you want to know, but I'm not in that business. My brother, Ray. Okay, got that out of the way. I've been a lifelong conservative Republican. And in 2013, I was tired of screaming at the television and kicking it, and I like to hunt. And I decided I'm going to be a trophy hunter. I'm going after a trophy rhino. And I did. I ran for the Texas Senate against the most liberal Republican in Austin. And I won, and that was in 14. I served 2 sessions in Austin before the Democrats knocked me out in 18. They took every Republican in Dallas County out. My district was the north half of Dallas County, and right now there's out of 60-plus elected positions in Dallas County, there's only 2 Republicans left in office in Dallas. It's sad, very sad. But let me just say this, that Austin is probably worse than Washington. It's that bad. And people who have served both places will tell you so. Austin's very vindictive. Well, there's a few things I got done down there I want to tell you that I was proud of. And one that was, like they already said, I was always voted by scorecards as one of the most conservative state senators in Austin. If you're not familiar with scorecards, you need to be. These are nonpartisan, generally nonpartisan ranking systems on your voting scores. Mark Jones, Rice University, does the most comprehensive, Google him up. It's the most comprehensive liberal to conservative index. So you need to be familiar with those. Of course, Empire, Texas does them too. A lot of groups do. And so I was proud of that. The second thing, according to the Secretary of the Senate, I was the only elected office holder in Austin that has never taken a dime from the state of Texas. I never took the pay, the pension, the health care, the per diem, nothing. No reimbursements for travel or vouchers or anything. I never took any money from the state. I want to bring that up because I want you to know that I never worked for the government, and I never will work for the government. I only work for the people, and the people that put me there. Thank you. How many of you guys have heard of the political scandal, Dallas County Schools? It happened in Dallas County. We got a few out there might have heard of it. Well, a lot of people haven't. It's not Dallas Independent School District. It's called Dallas County Schools. And I uncovered the largest political corruption scandal in the history almost of the state of Texas. And that's measured by how much elected office holders can steal from taxpayers. And it's just amazing. This was an old organization. It's not Dallas Independent School District. It mainly functioned to provide bus service for some of the school districts in Dallas County, but it taxed everybody in the county. It was a 100-year-old organization. It was on your property tax bill. Well, I dug into it. I'll make a long story short. And I uncovered a nest of cockroaches and snakes. It was just amazing. It really is. And they were stealing tens of millions of dollars. This was a very large organization. It had over 3,000 employees. It had over $100 million annual budget. So the more we dug into it, the more I realized how much they couldn't account for any of the money. And they were taking bribes and kickbacks and tens of millions of dollars. Well, I got 7 people put in jail. I'm the one that got the Texas Rangers involved, and we got the FBI involved, and the Dallas District Attorney, and we got the sitting mayor pro tem of the city of Dallas on the city council serving 7 years in prison. So I'm very pleased on that. Thank you. But I tell you, I got a bill done in Austin to get rid of them, to close that organization down, and I got it done, but barely got it done. I couldn't believe how hard it was to get that bill done. But I shouldn't have been surprised, because let me tell you what happened at my very first Republican caucus meeting in Austin. Before I do that, let me just rewind a second and set the table for you. There's 31 state senators in Austin. That's according to our state constitution. We represent around 900,000 Texans each, more than a congressional member. The Senate is run completely by the lieutenant governor. He's the president of the Texas Senate. Okay, he appoints everybody to committees. He appoints the committee chairs, and he's a one-man calendar committee. When I say that he'll decide what bill gets to be brought up on the floor for a vote if it clears the committee. Of course, every bill has to go to the committee, and then it can come to the floor. And he has that kind of authority. Well, anyway, I just want to make sure you understood that. With the Republicans, when I was there and still do, we control everything. The supermajority of the Texas House and the Senate and the governorship, we can get any bill done we want. Any bill. We control Austin completely. The Republicans will literally pass any piece of legislation they want to pass and still can. Well, anyway, so I'm going to my very first Republican Senate caucus meeting. And we meet down there, and they still do, once a week, every Monday night in a restaurant in Austin. There's only 20 of us when I was there. And we talk about our business. And little old me, I'm real nervous. I'm going to my very first caucus meeting, and I'm anxious. And I take in there one of my favorite documents right here. This is our party platform, Republican Party platform. How many of y'all been to a Republican convention? Or even your county convention? Good, there's quite a few. You know what the main thing we do there at these conventions is we vote on our party platform, resolutions. This document clearly defines who we are as a Texas Republican. It has 300 planks in there we want to become law, and we've narrowed it down to 10 that we are not compromising on, that we want to be law this year and every year. This is a Republican Party platform. So I have it with me, and I've got it there, and I got it on my chair, and it's my time to come around. We're going in a circle, and it's my time. I say, well, senators, there's a couple of things that I'd like to see us get done this session. First, I'd like to see us get rid of the business tax, the margins tax, franchise tax. It's one of the top priorities of the Republican Party. And I said, all taxes end up being paid by the consumer. We can put it on a glide path to zero, take it 10 years, whatever. We can message out. We don't have any more business tax in Texas. Second, I said, we need to get constitutional carry. Yes. It's a number one priority of our party. We need to pass constitutional carry. And I said, guys, I understand if I can't convince you to vote for it. I hope to persuade you otherwise. But the most important thing is that we get this to the floor. So everybody can see where you stand on this issue. And I said, in other words, you can be accountable to the voters that sent you here. And you know what I heard? Nothing. Silence. Nothing. Then I heard a fork hit a plate. It sounded like a church bell going off. Gradually, 1, 2, 3, or more of the senators got up and left the meal. Got up and left the table in the middle of the meal. Needless to say, the rest of the night was very awkward. The next morning, I get a message. Messenger comes in. Senator Huffines, you need to apologize for what you said last night to the Republican Senate caucus. And I said, what did I say? They said, you specifically said that you're going to hold fellow Republican senators accountable to the voters. I said, I did say that, and I damn sure not apologizing. That's a fact. I committed right then to work on those two issues as hard as I could and as long as I was a Texas senator, and I did. Now, patriots, I'm going to tell you something. Some of you know and some of you don't know. Most, but not all, but most of your Republican elected office holders don't like you. As a matter of fact, they hate you. They laugh at you behind closed doors. They belittle you. They make fun of you. They use you. They are duplicitous. They are liars. Why do they do that? Because you might hold them accountable. You might hold them accountable to their campaign promises. You might hold them accountable to our party platform. They don't like being held accountable. They work night and day all the time not to take a vote. They do not want to be accountable to you. Well, maybe Huffines, you've been a little hard on them. Because they do like being accountable. They love to be accountable to the money, to the lobbyist. They love to be accountable to their fellow club members. That's why they call it a club, and that's why they're called members. They love to be accountable to leadership. And worst of all, what just absolutely killed me down there. Do you know who they want to be accountable more to than anyone else? The Democrats. The Democrats. They were always saying, what do the Democrats think? How are the Democrats going to respond? They never once heard them say, what does the grassroots think? They never said that. Have you ever seen King Greg with this in his hand? Have you ever seen Abbott holding this up, waving it around and say, this is what we stand for. This is our legislative priority. This is what we're going to get done. He's never done that. What about Dan Patrick? I worked with him 4 years. He went out of his way not to talk about this. What about our other Republican statewide leaders? George P. Bush, Glenn Hager. We don't have that many. You ever see them talking about it? You don't. You know why they don't talk about it? Because they don't believe in it. They don't believe in that platform. If they believed in that platform, it would be law. Every session, we go down to Austin. All you guys are going to go to Austin. I've done it before I ran for office. Please, sir, pass some of our legislative priorities. We're going to do it again this session. That's what's going to happen. Well, let me tell you what's going to happen. They're going to go in the back room where all the deals are done, back there in the principal's office. In the House and the Senate. They know where all the votes are. You know, when we go out to the floor of the Senate, it's all for show. All the debate, hours of discussion and debate, all kinds of rules, it's all for show. They know where every vote's going before we ever walk out there. Do you know when I was in the Senate how many bills came to the floor and did not pass? 0. 0. Every bill's coming to the floor is going to pass. So they're going to go in the back room. They're going to pick their feet up on the desk, put their boots up on the desk. They're going to open the drawer and get the whiskey bottle out, pour themselves a cocktail. And they're going to say, we got to give the grassroots something. What are we going to give them? Well, we got to give them a little bit. And you'll get something. You'll get one issue. You'll get maybe 2, three if they make a mistake. But none of them are going to matter. They'll water them down. You're never going to get a big issue. They'll water it down. And then they're going to come out and say, what a great session they've had. What a conservative session. And you're going to say, excuse me, no, that's not true. And they're going to tell you to shut the hell up, and they're going to slam a pacifier in your mouth. And then they go around the state of Texas, and they're going to say that we are the smartest people in the world. We know everything. We're the elitists. We know it all, and those people don't know nothing. They just don't know what it's like to be in Austin. And they're going to get the spinning wheels spinning. That's what they're going to tell the media. I mean, just look at our issues. Have we outlawed abortion? Do we have constitutional carry? Do we have property tax relief? Do we have a secure border? If Texas wanted a secure border, it would be secure in 24 hours. 24 hours. We're a sovereign state. That's our border. What about the most important issue we could even be working on? What about voter fraud, election integrity? We know dead people vote. We know non-citizens are registering to vote and voting by the hundreds and maybe the thousands and tens of thousands. Worse than that. Now we got to worry about software problems. Look, if you can program software to count the vote, you can sure program software to change the vote. Well, who's in charge of voter fraud? Who's in charge of enforcing that? The Attorney General and the governor. Well, King Greg, he was Attorney General for 12 years. 12 years. I don't remember him doing a thing. Do you know how many people work in the Attorney General's office? 4,000. Look on their website. 4,000. They have almost 750 attorneys. Do you know how many attorneys they put in charge of voter fraud? 2. If we don't have confidence in our election, it is the foundation of civilization. It's the foundation of our republic. And when you start breaking the foundation, everything's going to collapse. And if that's not bad enough, how much liberty can Texas lose? How much more is left for us to give up? In 1 year, 2 weeks. Remember last spring, 2 weeks. We're going to shut everything down and see what happens in 2 weeks. And King Greg comes out there and says, we're going to shut it all down. It's been a year. I want you to really understand something. Every way that this state responded to this illness is directly on the shoulders of Abbott. He's the one that gave all the authority to every county, every city, every elected office holder in this state got the authority to do whatever they did from King Greg, not from anybody else. One man, one person. So he can't pass the buck. It's bad enough he put 3 million Texans, 3 million out of work in 2 weeks. More jobs are lost in 2 weeks than we created in the last 10 years. In 10 years, gone. Did he ask anybody how long you had that job? Did he ask you how long you had that business? How many sacrifices you made? How many football games you missed? How much family time? How many vacations you couldn't take? Gone. Just like that. He didn't care. That's not bad enough. What about our religious liberty? He closed the churches on the holiest day of the year, Easter. The holiest day of the year. Take a quick story. I had my first grandbaby this year. We needed to get her baptized. I had to find a priest that was a rebel. He was a rebel priest. An underground priest. This is true. To unlock a church so that I and the parents of my grandbaby could sneak in to the church. And he would look around, make sure nobody saw us in the parking lot. And he'd lock the church behind us. And then we stand in there and he said, you know that we could all be arrested by Governor Abbott's police for having this ceremony. And I said, let's have it. We had a beautiful ceremony. And then when it was over, he got out, walked out the door, and looked around the parking lot to make sure he couldn't be seen. We wouldn't be seen as we were leaving. That's in Texas. You couldn't marry. You can't bury the dead. You can't baptize your babies. You couldn't even go to church. That's in Texas. Well, it's really sad that we're having to fight among ourselves. It's not necessary. It's completely unnecessary. It's ridiculous. But we do. My biggest battles in Austin were almost always with the Republicans in my own party because they didn't want to be accountable. They didn't want to come back to your meetings and tell you what they voted on. Democrats always knew where they were. They just didn't, you know they weren't with you most of the time. The Republicans were duplicitous and they lie. We should be fighting the Democrats. They are the socialists. They are the ones who are trying to bring communism to this state, to this country. Socialism always leads to communism. It always leads to the horrors of tyranny. Unimaginable horrors are awaiting us. They are the ones trying to replace God with government. They are the ones succeeding in that. I look at it this way. We're on this slippery slope and we're sliding down, and at the bottom is this slippery slope of socialism and communism. At the bottom is this pit of hell of horrors. And they want to get there tomorrow, the Democrats, today. But Republicans, they're just going to get there next week. We have to get rid of these rhinos. This, Patriots, really is important that we illuminate the battlefield. We shine a light so we can see who's with us and who's not. It is a clear case of good versus evil. Tyranny is evil. Let me read you a Bible quote. Revelations 3:15. I know your deeds. You are neither cold nor hot. How I wish you were one or the other. So because you are lukewarm, neither hot nor cold, I'm about to vomit you out of my mouth. I pray this will never be said about me. And I don't think it'll be said about anybody in here, because you're here tonight. You want to make a difference. You understand that our liberties come from God. This is our birthright. Government doesn't give us our liberties. That's why we, thank you. That's why we swear allegiance to this little Constitution. We don't swear allegiance to the king or the military or to the president. We swear allegiance to a document that our founders specifically wrote to protect your birthright, your God-given liberties. I want you to do me a favor. Anybody that's running for office, you need to ask them this question. What is the fundamental role of government? What is the fundamental role of government? It's always to defend your God-given liberty. That's the fundamental role. And if they can't answer that question, you need to get somebody else and tell them to go take a hike. Thank you. Well, Patriots, I'm very excited that you guys are here tonight. I'm honored to be here because this is the eve of our independence for great Texas, and I'm going to give you three kind of things I want you to focus on. And what is the chink in the armor of the rhinos? And that is, they exist as opportunists, career opportunists. They want to be reelected. Their primaries are very important to them. If they fear you, you can make a difference. They need to fear you. And they fear numbers. When they come into a room, they're going to evaluate you. They're going to evaluate this crowd tonight. They're going to evaluate this group. And in their mind, they're going to be thinking, is this a threat to me? How am I going to respond to these people? Powers in numbers. Powers in numbers. Just think of it this way. 5% of the people you know, probably 60, 70% of the people you know are Republicans. I would venture to guess. You get 5% of them, 5%, to come to this meeting, to go to a meeting every month, even if it isn't this group, but any group, to be active, to make a difference, to tell them that you're watching. Bring your party platform with you. Tell them to look through it. Pick a couple of things they're going to pass a bill on. Hold them accountable. There are powers in numbers. I do think that you're going to make a difference. All is not lost. I tell you, Texas, we can't lose Texas. When we can identify the problems and we can find the right leaders to solve those problems, we can do anything. I used to say, of course, that when you lose Texas, you're going to lose the United States. Of course, I don't say that anymore. I say when we lose Texas, we're going to lose the free world. The whole free world. And I mean that. We are an example for the world. People all over Europe pay attention to Texas. People all in Asia pay attention to Texas. And people in the United States are dadgum sure going to pay attention to Texas. We need to make sure they hear us loud and clear. I know that our greatest days are yet to dawn. I firmly believe that. And I love you guys. God bless you. God bless Texas. For liberty, virtue, and prosperity always. Thank you.